Today, I'm going to tell you what each state along the Appalachian Trail is like and what it's known for based on the perspective of someone going northbound, so from Georgia to Maine. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Audrey, known as Glowstick on Trail, and in 2018, I quit my job to thru-hike the Appalachian Trail from Georgia to Maine. It was freaking amazing. Was every state amazing? Maybe not, but most were. So in case you're unfamiliar, the Appalachian Trail is about 2,200 miles long and it goes through 14 states through the Appalachian Mountain Range. These states are as follows. Let's see if I can get them in order. Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. If I forgot any, we'll figure it out along the way. I don't think I did though, I think I got them all. Okay, so a little backstory. I started the trail on March 20th. I thought, oh, that's right around the first day of spring. Obviously, in the South, it's probably gonna be warm. Maybe it's gonna be cold at night, but likely since it is the South in the spring, it's probably gonna be like pretty mild, right? Wrong. I was freezing for the first month of my thru hike. Georgia especially was so freaking cold. Like I'm talking below freezing days, below freezing nights. It was very moody at that time of the year. Very gloomy, lots of cloud cover, not a lot of sun. Every time the sun came out, it was cause for celebration. Like it was very brown. The leaves were not out yet. It was very open. I was warned that, oh, like maybe before the leaves come in, like you might get a sunburn. That's pretty common. No, erroneous. There were no sunburns because there was no sunshine. But yeah, it was super cold. I had a 0-degree sleeping bag. I was still freezing a lot of those nights my first few weeks. So that of course included a little bit of North Carolina and Tennessee as well. But Georgia, I just very much remember being really cold. That being said, it's really pretty. There are a lot of rhododendrons, there are a lot of waterfalls, not a ton of views, but like, you know, a few nice views here and there. But something I will warn you about with Georgia also, aside from it being cold, is that it's very mountainous, and the trail crew in Georgia, I think, did not really believe in switchbacks a lot. Like it's a lot of straight ups and downs, it seemed like. And that's not to say that the trail is not well maintained in Georgia. The trail is very well maintained in Georgia. There are a lot of trail volunteers out there helping through hikers along the way and really taking care of the trail. There are, you know, bear boxes or bear cables at all of the campsites and shelters in Georgia, which was a real treat compared to the rest of the trail where often they didn't have these things. Georgia is a lovely state with lots of people there to help you along the journey. And the trail towns are really cute. I mean, you're only in the state of Georgia for less than 100 miles. So while it seems like a lot because you're there at the very beginning of the trail, that's actually a very short distance, but it was a lovely state, but very cold and very tough. All right, I'm gonna talk about North Carolina and Tennessee together because the trail straddles the border for a long time, and a lot of times you don't even know which state you're in while you're walking. However, one way to help you tell the difference is that North Carolina has privies at the shelters. Tennessee does not. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But North Carolina and Tennessee are so beautiful. These two states are amazing. I loved this section of trail. You straddle the border going through the Great Smoky Mountains, which I was warned that the Smokies were gonna kick my butt, which I would say was a trail rumor because while the Smokies, there was a tough climb getting up into the Smokies, and you are higher in elevation in the Smokies than any other part of the AT, but I actually thought that there were a lot of switchbacks. It was really mild. It was so gorgeous. The views were just incredible compared to what they had been at this point before on the trail. And then of course in Tennessee, you also go through the Rowan Highlands, which are just these big open highlands with balds, and they're so pretty. And it's very mild. It's not easy terrain because this whole section of trail, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, is pretty mountainous. Like I feel like up north is more known for its mountains, but you know, this section of trail is nothing to scoff at. But it seems that a lot of the terrain, like in the Rowan Highlands, it's a lot more mild than the stuff that you've gone through, say, earlier in Georgia and at the beginning of North Carolina. When I was in Tennessee, spring finally sprung, which I was waiting for because I was so freezing at the beginning. There were lots of butterflies. You started seeing flowers. You got actually like warm days where you didn't feel like you're gonna freeze and die. There's a lot to love about North Carolina and Tennessee, and whether this was weather or this is because of the terrain, there just seemed to be a lot more sunny days in these states as well, as opposed to Georgia, which was just so moody. So moody. All right, onward and upward into Virginia. I loved Virginia so much. Virginia has such a special place in my heart. Virginia is, you are there for a very long time. You're there for about 25% of the entire AT. Virginia is a long state, but people talk about the Virginia blues a lot, like you're gonna get to Virginia and you're gonna get so sad and you're gonna hate the trail because you're there for so long and you're used to going through these different states and going through these different milestones, but I disagree. I have a whole video about this on why you should not fear the Virginia blues, because there is so much to love in Virginia. My favorite hostel of the entire trail was in Virginia. It's called Woods Hole. It's near Harrisburg, and it is a working farm with an owner who inherited the farm from her family and keeps it alive by, both running the farm and running it as a hiker hostel. Her name is Neville. She is amazing, and she will let you help out at family dinners and help out around the farm. And if someone can't pay, she will find a way to help them. Wonderful human being and wonderful hostel. So pretty out in the Blue Ridge. There are a lot of flowers everywhere, wildflowers in Virginia, and I am a huge fan of wildflowers. This is where I saw the mountain laurel bloom, the rhododendrons bloom, the azaleas bloom, which I had been waiting for the 3 prior states. The forest just becomes so alive with, pinks and oranges and all these beautiful flowers and beautiful colors. And it also becomes a lot more green because, of course, you go north, you're hiking further into spring, into summer, and Virginia is just so beautiful. And the terrain gets a lot more mild than it is in Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. However, there's another trail rumor, and it is that Virginia is flat. Do not believe those rumors, because Virginia is not flat, and there are plenty of big climbs in Virginia. That being said, it is a whole lot more mild than those 3 previous states, so that is where I think the rumor comes from. There are also a lot of breweries in Virginia, many of which will let you camp out on their grounds. I highly recommend stopping at Devil's Backbone. They have a huge campus, really catered to hikers, let you camp there for free. And of course, if you're a beer drinker like me, lots of beers to try. You also go through the Grayson Highlands. Hello, Virginia's Fairyland, where there are not just amazing views because you're up high again, but also if you hit it right, there are just flowers literally covering the entire forest floor right up until the Grayson Highlands, where you meet the wild ponies that roam free there and live there and will come up to lick salt off of you and your gear. And if you're not careful, they might just take off with a trekking pole or a shoe. So be very careful. And don't forget to hang your food. And you also go through the Shenandoah National Park, which is a favorite for thru hikers because it's beautiful. The trail is not too difficult, and there are waysides everywhere, which are these little camp stores that have food and milkshakes for you to try. So that is the great state of Virginia. Moving on into West Virginia. You're not there very long, only for a few miles, but you do get to stop at Harper's Ferry, which is the unofficial halfway point of the AT. Has gorgeous views. You get to walk along the river for a while. I forget if it's the Shenandoah or the Potomac because they both run through Harper's Ferry. And if you're like me and my trail family and find a ride out to the river where they do tubing, you can also pay to go out and tube on the river for a day, which I would highly recommend. I used to do it while I lived in DC. It was a whole lot of fun, and I made my trail family go while we were in West Virginia. Also, you can get your unofficial halfway photo at the Appalachian Trail Conservancy in Harper's Ferry. So don't forget to do that. It's pretty fun, and you get your number updated from the beginning of what number you are to come through there that year. Maryland, also super short. I think I was only there for 2 days, but it was really cool because the trail was super easy and you also go through some historic battlegrounds. So if you're a history buff, Maryland might be a favorite for you. Pennsylvania. All right, from Maryland to Pennsylvania, you cross the Mason-Dixon line. You're no longer in the South. You are in Yankee territory. I'm a Yankee, I can say that. Pennsylvania is tough for a lot of hikers. It is affectionately or inaffectionately, not affectionately, whatever the word is for that, known as Rocksylvania because there are a whole lot of rocks there. Rocks that will hurt your feet, that might break your trekking pole if you are me, that will discourage you because they slow you way down. The rocks are tough, I'll admit. However, Pennsylvania, I thought was very interesting. I saw a lot of wildlife there, porcupine included, which was pretty cool. The trail is pretty easy. Aside from all the rocks, like the terrain is very mild compared to a lot of the other states on the AT. You walk straight through some towns. However, there are long water carries in addition to the rocks, and some of the streams you'll see are like quite polluted with orange industrial something or other, and you also tend to hear a lot of loud booms that you don't know what they are, maybe fracking. I don't know if that causes booms in the state of Pennsylvania, but I found the people there to be super, super nice. Like I said, saw a lot of wildlife, and the times when there weren't a lot of rocks, you could just cruise because the terrain was so easy. So I harbor no ill will toward Pennsylvania. I enjoyed it. On to New Jersey. I feel like you either love New Jersey or you hate New Jersey. I expected to think that New Jersey was just kind of blah, you know, New Jersey doesn't have the best reputation. I loved New Jersey. I loved it. If you want to do a huge day, do it in New Jersey. I did my first long day for me in New Jersey, which was 27.5 miles. I ended up doing a 30 up north farther, but seriously, you can just cruise through the whole state of New Jersey. It's super easy. There's these really cool boardwalks that you walk through. I had some of the best trail magic in New Jersey because the people of New Jersey are so nice. And I know that's not their reputation, but I am telling you, they are so nice. As soon as I crossed the border from Pennsylvania into New Jersey, immediately, I had 3 or 4 people stop me and ask me if I needed anything, if I needed help with anything, if I needed any water, if I needed a ride, anything. And then seriously, I think New Jersey is only 70 something miles on the AT, and I got trail magic multiple times. And in addition, there is a farm store right off of the trail. Me and my friend stopped there, got some food, hung out, whatever. And these girls that worked there ended up offering to drive us to the local drive-in, which was just a few miles away, technically in New York, but you jump off the trail in New Jersey to get there. And the drive-in lets hikers camp out there and watch the movies for free. How nice is that? It was such a fun little field trip. We didn't even really miss out on any hiking because we had hiked there for almost the whole day. We went to this farm store, they drove us to the drive-in, and then we ended up having to take a cab back because you can't hitchhike in the state of New York. But anyway, very cool experience. Very into that. New Jersey was great. Also, there are a lot of swimming opportunities in New Jersey, which I love swimming, so I was very happy about. Onward, New York, my home state. I hate to say this because I am a native New Yorker, Western New Yorker, by the way. New York is a big state. I'm not from the city. But I hated the state of New York. On the trail, it was my least favorite place. And I do feel bad about that because, like I said, it is my home state, but I did not like it. It was really freaking hot, so hot. There was a drought. The trail just seems to unnecessarily go up and over things any chance that it gets. Which one might say this is true for the entire AT, but I just thought it was so blatantly obvious in New York that whoever built that trail was fucking with us. Sorry for my language, I apologize. But yeah, New York was rough. That being said, there are a lot of delis very near the trail in New York. Some of them will let you camp out on their grounds so that you can go in the morning and get a bagel sandwich or coffee or some other delicious treat in the morning, which is amazing. I felt like I was really well fed in New York, and at that time of the trail, my hiker hunger was really ramped up and I was really skinny, so I really needed all those extra calories, so that was a big help. And a lot of people left water caches along the trail, which was so amazing of them because a lot of the stream beds were completely bone dry when I went through. So thank you, Trail Angels, for all the assistance that you give to hikers. I really did see a lot of support in New York, despite the fact that I did not love the trail as much. And you also go through the lowest point on the entire AT in New York when you literally walk through a zoo, which is pretty fun. So, you know, even the least favorite state has its positive points. And also there were some lakes to swim in New York, so I gotta give it extra credit for that as well. Into Connecticut. Connecticut is just lovely. It's just a lovely little state. There's a lot of farmland. There's not a lot of elevation gain, so trail's really mild. It was just, what can I say about Connecticut? You have these really easy river walks. One side of you is a forest or a field, the other side's the river. It's very flat. Connecticut's just pretty and nice. Massachusetts. I really liked Massachusetts too. Massachusetts was quite pretty. And it's the state where you start kind of going back uphill. Like you've had it really mild, the train's been really mild all through the mid-Atlantic, through Connecticut, and then you get to Massachusetts and you like start climbing again. I met a lot of really nice trail maintainers in Massachusetts too. I did my longest day in the state of 30 miles and had my most fun trail magic, which was finding a garbage can full of snacks in like the middle of the night when I was doing this 30-mile day. So that was awesome. And then, yeah, Massachusetts is also pretty short, but it was nice. Into Vermont. Vermont is where you're like, oh, things have changed. Things have changed. All of a sudden, you're seeing a lot of pine trees. You're going up these big climbs. You're getting these epic views, epic sunsets, seeing beaver dams. There are more signs of wildlife around. You start seeing, moose droppings and moose prints everywhere. I never did see moose on the AT, but I know that they were in Vermont. And you also might see some naked hikers as well because they're into nudity in Vermont. But very nice little towns. You're hiking along the long trail for a bit, like 100 miles, 105 miles, something like that. So you're starting to see, more hikers that you don't know because they're on this other trail. You start hiking up and over ski resorts, which is pretty cool because you get like some pretty nice views up there. Vermont is awesome. However, it is affectionately or inaffectionately known as Vermud, because Vermont has a heck of a lot of mud. So expect to be dirty in Vermont, but luckily there are a lot of swimming holes. Vermont has a lot of places to swim, lots of ponds, lots of lakes. So you get dirty, but then you can just go swim it off. Into New Hampshire. I would consider New Hampshire to be the toughest state on the Appalachian Trail. It's hard. It's epically beautiful, but the trail in New Hampshire is tough. You get into the White Mountains and it's rocky trail, it's rooty trail. There are just monster climbs that you think are never gonna end. Sometimes you'll be climbing all day long. You get to the top finally and you're completely sucked in. There's no view. But when you do get the views, man, oh man, are they worth it. And New Hampshire feels very wild. It feels like you are very out there in the wilderness. I saw 2 pine martens there. That was cool. It's an incredible state, but it's very tough. And it's really tough to hitch there too. Like there's a lot of tourists up in that area who, don't know what you're doing, not used to hikers. So it's kind of tough to get a hitch to town, unlike a lot of the other states. Vermont was probably the easiest place to hitch in. So, there's a big difference there, just one state over. And so I didn't find that New Hampshire was the friendliest state, but I don't think that was locals. I think it's just because there's so many out-of-staters that don't know what AT hikers are or what they're doing or that they're on the AT or any of that. So no hate there. It's a great state. It's just really tough and it really kicked my butt. And finally, into the great state of Maine. Maine, oh, I love Maine so much. Maine was my favorite state along the whole AT, and that is saying a lot because I really just loved the AT so much as a whole, and so many of the places that I was on the AT I loved so wholeheartedly, but Maine was exactly what I wanted the entire trail to be. It was tough, but doable. There were amazing views. There were lakes and ponds everywhere. I had amazing weather while I was there. I think it rained twice and I was there for almost a month. My trail family slowed way down in Maine because we loved it so much. It was so gorgeous. There's just so many things to love there, and I found the people to be so kind and so helpful and so friendly. And of course, you get into the 100-mile wilderness at almost the very end of the trail, which is just, in my opinion, the best section of the entire AT, the best 100-mile section. Just everything about it's amazing. You feel like you're really in the wilderness, like away from society as a whole. There are so many swimming ops, there are so many incredible views, like so much wildlife. It's just, Maine's incredible. Maine's incredible. What can I say about it? But it's incredible. Cute little towns. It's awesome. And then you get to Katahdin, and Katahdin is just like, there's no better, more epic way to end a thru hike than climbing up Katahdin. It's really tough though. Just be forewarned, Katahdin is very tough. What else can I tell you guys about the states on the AT? Let me know what questions you have down in the comments. And just know that all of these states, even New York, I loved them. Okay, I maybe didn't love New York, but I do love New York because I'm from there. But it was on the AT, so it was just the greatest. Let me know what questions you guys have about the states or any other questions that you have about the AT. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all later.